Okay, so I'm back and I'm still freestyling. I don't want to look at any notes. I know what I want to say, so I'm just get it out, right? Now, life. The reason why I want to bring life into this situation is because I look at it like this, right? Men are the source of life. Now, if you ask some women, they'll say they are the cradle of civilization. They are the manifestations of creation because we have to go through their body in order for it to happen. Now, that is true, right? However, just think about it. How potent is the man's sperm in comparison to what the woman ejaculates? Like, have we studied that? And the reason why I asked that is because, as before I said in the previous video, is women are said to hit the wall. They come out as these beautiful beings, right? And then they start declining. Now, this is theoretically, right? I'm not even saying this is factual. I know some great looking women who are 50 and above. But my point is here, there's a lot of speculation, I guess we can call it for right now, about these women hitting the wall after a 30, 35 year period, right? And the men are becoming more good looking or more healthy or whatever the case may be. So let's say that is the truth. Let's just say this is the truth real quick. Would it behoove a woman who is said to hit the wall after a certain age to get next to a man who is said to get better with time and benefit from that somehow? Now, to those of you who are the drink champs, to those women out there that are the drink champs, I guess you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the women who drink sperm, right? Yes. Getting the comments that do not be offended. Like, this is real talk right now that I'm talking about, right? So the women who drink sperm, like, do you think that makes you healthier or stronger in some type of form or fashion? I personally have seen research studies that say what scientifically proves what the male sperm can do for women who do that type of thing. Now, again, I know I'm ruffling some feathers by even speaking this way, right? However, okay, let's get into the perception of a woman who may be offended by what I just said. The perception of a woman may be, okay, I like family, like I love children, I want to have children so we can play and we can like run through the garden and pick flowers and, I don't run through the grass, roll around, what do women think life is based upon? Is that what they want their children to grow up to do? Or do they want their children to grow up and participate in wars? Do they want their children to grow up and be robbers, bank robbers? Do they want their children to grow up and do movies? Do they want their children to grow up and be astronauts? Do they want their children to grow up to be scientists? Do they even know this when the whole breeding situation is going on? So let's say your religious leader or whoever your leader is say, I don't think you should have babies because there's this amount of people starving over in Africa, or not even Africa, right? Let's stop using Africa as the country that's starving. There's this many people over here that are suffering in Syria. Why would you want to have a child now? And the person or the woman may be so selfish and say, it's because, it's my body. I want to give off life. I love life and this, that, and the third. And have no, won't use that as no type of reason for her not having a baby, right? So, the point that I'm making is that baby or would that would-be baby take away from the life of the the man who donated that sperm to her womb? You understand what I'm saying? Like, so what I'm asking here is, does a man get weaker when he actually has a seed that takes the form of life? So it's like when we replicate, when we duplicate, does that make us less of a man? And do we have to eat foods and drink certain substances in order to build ourselves back up to be the men that we were before that experience took place? Or can we even build ourselves up to be bigger? This is the things that I want to ask, right? Because if not, the same thing that goes with women. When women, think about this, right? Women actually let the sperm form inside of their bodies, become little small human beings inside of them, and then push them out afterwards. Like, think about the wear and tear that has on a body, right? So let's say the woman does this about 3 or 4 times. how much has that taken away from that woman's body? How much life has that drained from that woman's body, right? And does she take into consideration after she has these children about regaining her strength, about rejuvenating her body, about, getting it all back possibly? And I mean for real, like even, drinking her significant other's sperm to make herself stronger or make herself more youthful if she identifies it in her significant other. Or, is this something, am I going religious here? Does this sound religious or unorthodox? Because I know some drink champs that they got some theories of their own, right? And, they don't have no shame in doing what I'm talking about. So I'm really trying to get comments from the women who frown upon this type of stuff that I'm talking about, or not necessarily are against it, but just decided not to for whatever reason, or doesn't even think about this stuff. Like, I want to start a conversation here, because let's say, what if that helped? Like, let's say you saw a picture of me 15 years ago and I looked less of a man, let's say, than I do right now. Would you come under the impression that with time I got better? With time I did something with myself that says, okay, I added health onto myself in some type of way? And I don't just say this on a whim or because I want to talk about sex. Again, I said that this is an act of war for me as a Pisces man anyway. Let's deal with the lungs real quick, right? There's a thing called lung age. So these new sophisticated technologies that we have inside of the hospitals and stuff can detect how much our lungs have aged over the years, over a span of years, right? So what happens is your lungs actually heal. This is for the smokers out there too, or people who used to smoke. Your lungs are actually healing when you don't smoke anymore. This is true talk. So if your lungs can heal after damages from cigarettes, tar, all of those thousands of chemicals that are found inside of cigarettes, what do you think that you can possibly do with the human anatomy that goes along the lines of the things that I'm talking about right now? Like, even through the transfer of fluids. We all know that blood donation saves people's lives, right? So why are we not discussing how sex can actually play a part in that role of saving lives as well? What is put out into the world is more about divorce. It's more about when people are not making each other happy. It's more about who gets the kids afterwards, or who spends more time with the kids now. What are you doing with the kids? Oh, you can't hang out with daddy because he's too wild. He wants to put you in the back of motorcycles. Or, I'm using examples because at the same time that we talk about how family structures are being ripped apart, there may be something insidious and sick about family structures to begin with. Now, maybe not back in the times where they were established, right? You from this tribe get to mate with this one from that tribe, and that's how it goes. You can't mate in the same tribe, or you can't participate in incest because, you know what I mean? And think about stuff like this, right? Like, sometimes in relationships, like a woman will say, you have an argument with your woman, and she's like, well, I'm going to my mom's house, you know what I mean? Or, and she goes back with her moms and her pops is over there and everything. Like, as men, do you ever sit there and say, well, why you need to stay with them in the beginning? Like, what you get with me for anyway? You know what I mean? Because there's always the lineage behind that can always save each spouse. This is each spouse. Even the mama boys, they're like, am I married to you, or I'm married to your mama? You know what I mean? Or things like that. Like, there's always that going on, right? So as far as looking at life as an energy source, are we even privileged? Like, should we not even have the privilege of procreation when our ancestors are still alive? Like, think about that, right? Because as I spoke before, I said, do we lose part of our resource value when we have children? And if that's the case, then that means our father has become weaker because they had, let's say for me, for example, my father must have became weaker after he produced me, right? So now my dad has to like replenish or like do his own research to make sure he gets his resources back for producing a human, right? And let's go even deeper. Can it be that behaviors that I participate in the world, some type of way affects my father? My father is not here anymore, by the way, and that's probably another reason why I'm talking about this, because I don't think it's anything sadder than losing someone. And you know how people talk about, when people experience death around them, there's this big dramatic thing that happens, and it's like, oh, I'm going through so much right now. I'm going through so much right now, and I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings with what I'm about to say. However, I'm just being raw with it. Like, you haven't experienced death. Like, they left here physically to experience more with you. Like, they went through something, and people have this tendency to make it so much about them when they lose someone. Like, that person left this visible physical plane. You understand what I'm talking about? So I think this is something worth looking into as far as our ancestors, our predecessors. Like, how can we help them become better them before we choose to go out and make more of us? You understand what I'm talking about? And it's difficult, I think, because of generations. Like my generation, for example, 80 babies, Generation X, like society-wise, we faced a lot. You understand what I'm talking about? And it's like our parents, that generation before us, they just wanted love. Like, they wanted love from us, or to like show us love. And we were the type of kids, the type of babies that were looking at the money, like, where's the money at so we can help out around here? You understand what I'm talking about? And then we were kind of like shunned away sometimes for that, or it's either that or we were like expected to do something else other than what it was that we thought we should be doing. You understand what I'm talking about? So we kind of like experienced this influence from people from our own background, because that's how the society or the generation before them molded them. Like, each generation was screwed up because they didn't understand each other, right? And we can apply this to generational planets and astrology. It's pretty much of another reason why I'm touching on this topic, right? So let me bring it back a bit, because I went a bit far. When we're talking about women hitting the wall, and you got this, let's say you got a health nut over here. People might say call him culturally corny, or square, because he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't participate in that type of stuff. And here you are, pretty hot still, you're about 29, you still done up, got your nails and everything in the clubs and everything. However, you are reaching that hitting the wall mark pretty soon. Do you continue to have this attitude that says, forget the healthy guys, bring on the thugs, bring on the studs, bring on the morons, I just need to feel, I want to feel, bring me alcohol so I don't feel, or whatever the case may be. And this is how you approach life? Like, do you feel like, how they say YOLO, you only live once, or, have fun while you're here? Like, is this the attitude of most women? And do they relate that to life? Do they relate that to the life force, is what I'm saying? Experience, period. Like, it could be harsh, it could be violent even, it can be turbulent, and they are accepting of that because women feel more or need to feel more. And this is not even all women, you know what I'm saying? I got some women friends who are more masculine than they are feminine, and we still have great times as well, you know what I'm saying? I'm really opening up dialogue right here. I want to talk about this type of stuff.